Hello. Oh well. Just gonna chill the fuck out.
How's it going? Sorry.
No, it's okay, man. I'm just, staying alive.
Um, since you're here, we'll go ahead and get started.
Cool.
Let me pull up the list of topics. All right, this is Kanoshi Bomanito here with another episode of Project Console. Vanilla Shake for sale, and I'd like to introduce before we get into our topics. I'd like my panelist member to introduce himself.
Yo, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Blisters. Glad to be on another cast. Glad to not be running one today.
Yeah. Anyway, this is Kanoshi Bomanito here with another Project Console, and let's jump right into it. So, over the weekend, some news broke out. Discord is banning people in progress and sharing information about Switch emulation, like Let's Sue You emulator, and some other. There's another emulator that I can't remember off the top of my head. But I guess courts like we don't want to deal with the wrath of Nintendo, so we're gonna ban these accounts, and people are up in arms about it. What are your thoughts on
Um, I mean, ultimately it's their fault that it happened because people don't understand that when you're emulating something, a platform that's commercially viable, maybe you shouldn't be crowing about how you got the latest game to run perfectly on the thing. Maybe you should do that shit quietly and discreetly. Just saying.
it? Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten games early from Amazon, and you know what I did? I shut the fuck up and played my game. I didn't go on Twitter and say, "Hey, look, I got this shit a day early, 2 days early, 3 days early. Look at me! Ah, yeah." It's like, no, 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 no. On the other hand of the spectrum, legally emulation isn't illegal. Matter of fact, it's legal as long as you reverse engineer the code from from the original commercial source itself.
Yeah.
IBM lost that court case years ago. Sony lost that court case against Bleem years ago. Nintendo just sues people because they have more money and they grind their opponents in the dust. But if any of these emulation groups had money and could afford a lawyer, they would win.
Yeah.
Due to precedent. So ultimately, what it's boiling down to is that Nintendo has a commercially viable product, people are emulating it, and Nintendo doesn't like that. So what they want to do is control how you play your games. Now, me personally, I don't like people controlling me how I play my games. I play what I want to play, when I want to play it, and how I want to play it. And if you don't like it, well, you can fuck off. But, not everyone has that type of acumen when it comes to gaming.
Yeah.
So, that's all I'm going to say.
And again, it's kind of like, these people should have just been patient. The Switch doesn't have a long lifespan. They should have waited until the new console got announced, and actually they should have waited until the new console came out before trying to but before they tried to reverse engineer or use the Yuzu code. But people can't be patient. I get it. People are upset with the Switch hardware. They wish it was more powerful. They wish the hardware wasn't what it is. There isn't what it is, but it is what it is. And in reality, Switch emulation is fairly niche. It's a pain in the ass to get. Like, if you want to do it legally as you can get, like, you want to dump your own games, you don't want to, you're not into the whole pirate scene, and you want to play your legally obtained games on the emulation. It is a pain in the ass. I've done it. Takes a while. It takes a lot. It takes a bit of trial and error. And then trying to instruct somebody else to do it, that took hours. Because it's not as straightforward as a process as maybe some of the YouTube videos will have you believe. Especially if you want to dump your digital games.
Hey, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say something. Some people are going to get a little weird by it, but it's worth saying. Here's what I think. I think in the future, the alternative way to basically get into emulating Switch is going to be they're probably going to come up with some apparatus that you're going to be able to plug your Switch into that'll plug into your PC, and that's probably it's going to emulate you playing your games on your PC with your Switch, just bypassing it altogether.
That's definitely.
And I think that'll be the future of what it is. That way, hey, Nintendo got their money. You have the physical media. There'll probably be a feature that you can unlock with the emulation that'll let you do that. But that's what I think. Am I right? I don't know. Am I wrong? I don't know. But I don't think that what people have been doing, especially with a commercial product that's still being sold, is helping.
Yeah.
But hey, what do I know? I'm just some guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I just think, they got a little too carried away, got a little too happy.
Overzealous.
Overzealous, yeah, that's the right
Yeah.
that's the word. And they
Showed their hand
found
too
out.
early.
Yeah, they ended up
And
finding out. So
yeah, all they had to do was just wait until Nintendo's next hardware came out.
yeah.
That's all they had to do, and be surreptitious with announcing, them coming out with new shit. But they couldn't even do that. It's just people being very, very stupid.
Yeah, that's the thing about this particular hobby, gaming. People can't. This isn't just the gaming problem. This is just the tech industry in general. It's like people can't keep their mouth shut about anything.
Yeah.
They gotta spoil everything. They gotta leak everything. Sometimes those leaks are done on purpose to get everybody to talk about what's going on. But a lot of those leaks, are not. It's people, they want to make a name for themselves. On the internet.
They want to get clout.
Yeah. So they dump things, pass around information they shouldn't. So. It is what it is. Better luck next time, I guess.
Or maybe if you're going to do that, just be fucking cool. Just be cool and don't crow about it. I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask. Just don't be really out in the open and like, oh, look what we did. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up.
I mean, Ryo-Jinx has been like a rat pissing or a mouse pissing on cotton right now. Pretty silent,
Please.
Yeah.
All right. Like, okay, let's keep it 100%. The Switch is an old piece of shit. Okay? It runs like ass.
Yeah. It doesn't run particularly great, no. Speaking of other things that aren't running particularly great at the moment, and that's the Final Fantasy Rebirth sales. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they took a game that should have been one whole game, and they split it into, like, 3 different games, and that was a mistake. Like, they shouldn't have done that. But they did it, so what are you going to do,
Yeah. If they would have done that,
they could have charged more, and it would have been better. If they said, look, we're going to sell you this game, and, we have overhauled this game entirely. It is bigger. This is one of the biggest games we've ever made, and it is literally like hundreds of, like, it's like 250 gigs, okay, across like 6 discs, all right? It's going to take up most of your hard drive, okay, on your console. It's a $120 game, Now, if they remade that game with all of this extra content and it was $125, no one would say anything. They'd be like, "That's expensive," but you're getting like what back in the day was like maybe a 20, 30-hour game. It's now like a 150-hour game. Okay, people who are fans of that franchise would get the game. Okay, but Square Enix got greedy and lazy. Okay, they got greedy because they wanted to break it up in different parts, and I think each version of this game has been like $70 or $60 or $70, if I remember correctly. And they broke it up into 3 or 4 parts. I want to say 3 parts. So that's $200. If it's $70 a pop, that's $210, $220 after it's all said and done, including taxes and everything like that. Probably more, depending on where you live. But they got lazy because they didn't want to give the team who made this game the time to make a full and complete game, which we know they can do because this is the same people that made Dragon Ball Infinite, which is that huge game. Which is basically like a fighting game / action adventure RPG where you play as Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, Vegeta, and it's got tons of content. And that content, they add new content every few. They've added like 3 or 4 different large chunks of content that game for free. You buy the base game, you get all the extra content.
Yeah.
So I don't, this is Square Enix being lazy and greedy.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of greed behind it.
Say that, they get mad. Like, don't say that. Don't you fucking say that.
Yeah. Not only they changed the story to, obviously the story, the way they constructed the story by those who played the game, they or played the original, it was pretty polarizing. So there were people that you either absolutely loved what they did with the story or you absolutely hated it. I haven't really seen a lot of in-betweeners. It's
polarizing. It's either or.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I managed to understand, they change a central part of Cloud's story by making a certain character not die, which in turn changes the motivation of Cloud, which in turn changes Cloud's character irrevocably.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just,
Spawnwave did a poll and it was like 50-60% of people, I think it was about like 60% of people didn't buy Rebirth for a myriad of reasons. Couple, it was a mix between.
They still haven't finished the first game. That's probably the big one.
Part of it was they didn't like this. They didn't like what they did with the story. It's not on their preferred platform, or they couldn't justify the price.
What, they don't want to have to buy a PlayStation just to play this, or a PC?
Yeah, or they don't want to pay the $70 price because again, right now the way things are, $70 is a lot to ask for a lot of people.
I mean, for that, I'm not going to be like, that's too much to ask because gaming is an expensive hobby. I agree. Back in the day, cartridge games that were exponentially smaller than the games we have now, if you adjust for inflation, were like $130, $140, $150.
Yeah,
so
I think that was around $70 at least, and
depending on where you were, it could be between 70 or 80 depending on what retailer was selling the game.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And the dollar was stronger then than it is now. So what I'm saying is the games have actually gotten cheaper. So when I hear people say, I play video games, an expensive fucking hobby, and it's too expensive for an expensive fucking hobby, I'm like, you're in if you want to do something, if you want to have a hobby that costs you practically no money, go to the library and read. That's free.
Yeah.
You can read as much as you want, and no one's gonna say shit to you about it. Like I fail to see why these people. Oh, I can't believe this is so expensive. I'm like, it's kind of like goes with the territory, bitch. You know, it's like people who there are people who they like to follow bands and they go to all their concerts. They go around the country to every concert that band has, right? Those people don't complain about the price because that's their hobby.
Yeah.
It's expensive,
Yeah.
and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, some people that buy.
Yeah, they're like,
because a lot of people that play games, most people that play games probably only buy like a couple games a year.
hey, man, it's an expensive hobby. I don't. I mean, look. Look. Listen. I can. Okay. I can understand their problem, and I can empathize with it. But ultimately, it's an expensive hobby. It's like someone saying, "Hey, man, I own a car. It's expensive." No shit.
Yeah.
That goes with the territory. If you don't want to do that, don't own a vehicle. Go find another way, find another form of conveyance, or live someplace where you don't need a car, where there's like good busing, good mass transit, so that you can just go wherever the hell you want, anytime you want to. But people complaining about how, oh my god, this is too expensive. I'm like, it's kind of the price of doing business.
Game prices a lot of game prices have been $70 for the past couple of years, and just wait a few months, it'll drop in price.
Yeah, like you can get that game for cheap right now. You can get it cheap.
Yeah.
You can get the shit cheap, okay? Like I'm tired of people complaining about how expensive gaming is. It's always been an expensive hobby.
I mean, yeah, it's true, especially if you're a PC gamer. It's just like wait.
No, it was cheaper on PC. The buy-in on PC is that it's expensive to get a computer, but once you get a computer, we get better sales than people on console.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like if you just wait, if you just keep your eyes peeled, you can probably get these games at a discount on launch day too. Sometimes it's a pretty heavy discount. Sometimes you'll get it for get the special edition of a game for the retail price of the base edition.
Yep.
Oh, I've come across deals like that.
Yep. Not anymore though, man. But yeah, man. It's really hard for me to muster up. It's just a personal thing. It's hard for me to muster up sympathy for people complaining about how expensive gaming is. When I'm like, gaming has always been expensive. As a matter of fact, if you adjust for inflation, gaming the price of games has actually stayed stable for a very long time. Very long time. It was like premium AAA games were $60. Then you had the mid-tier games that were between $50 down to like $20. No, $50 down to like $30, and then you had like the budget games that were between $20 and $10. And that's just how it was. It's and if a game has enough content and it's got enough shit going on, you don't mind paying a little bit more. If it has enough content. The key word, if it has enough content. Now, if it's some bullshit, like how Bethesda did with Fallout 76, where they made people pay a $10 premium. No, it was like $99 to get early access to the game for you to be a glorified beta tester. Okay, that's some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, ultimately, I think I don't have my eyes on the data right now, but I think what's keeping this game from selling is that a lot of people haven't finished the first game that came out, and the people who have just were like, it was enough. It was enough to revisit that game. They weren't actually trying to play through it again. Yeah. Once again, they could have saved this had they just done like a 1-for-1 remake with just better graphics, maybe an updated battle system. But instead, they're like, we're going to remake this entire game from the ground up so we can charge people an arm and a leg all over again.
Yeah.
What you going to say about it?
Exactly.
But what were you saying?
No, it's just I'm just, you know, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. It's not selling as well, especially with the polarized nature of the first game. Um, but you know, it's gonna be interesting to see if the third part actually ends up coming out. If the second game is able to retain the audience. It sounds like it has. So, or that audience is probably just gonna get smaller and smaller. I don't know.
I think people were just like, I'm tired. You know what I mean? I think people were just like, I'm tired of dealing with the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people hadn't finished that first game. And, you know, there's a lot of AAA games right now that are time wasters. You know, like Elden Ring's coming out with a fucking expansion that's gonna eat up a lot of time. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a time waster. People just don't have time.
Yeah. Yeah. But in any case, so I came across an interesting video. Um, uh, this is gonna lead into the next topic. Why tech companies are firing people. Part two. It was basically talking about vanilla CEOs that are just there essentially to please the shareholders and not really look out for customers or their employees.
Well, they don't give a fuck about customers. Their job is to make sure the stock price goes up. So they're actually doing their job. Just
Yeah.
it's short-term thinking, not long-term thinking.
Yeah, they don't the now the amount of people they took on during the whole 2020 crisis. Um, I think what Amazon went to from like 80,000 to a million.
Yeah.
They increased their employee rate exponentially. Like it was staggering how many people they had. But
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to nip that argument in the bud right now. The argument that they overhired, that people were overemployed, we hired too many people due to the pandemic. Bullshit.
no, I mean that's what I was gonna say is that the whole thing is fake. The whole thing because they wanted to create this illusion of growth, and they made money hand over fist
Yeah.
even after.
They all made money hand over fist. The grocery stores made money hand over fist during COVID. They're still making money. The fast food industry made money hand over fist. They raised their prices. Grocery stores did. All these software companies raised their prices for their software because people were working from home. Video game companies were selling games during the pandemic because people were playing games during the pandemic. So, I mean, the argument that we didn't make enough money and we can't afford to pay these, no. What it is that, in my opinion, in my estimation, what I really think is going on is that they basically just want to not pay people. They want to lower the amount of overhead, and instead of the people at the top saying, "Hey, we're going to take a pay cut. We're going to fire everybody else. We're going to hold ourselves accountable by firing 20% of our workforce."
Yeah. But, I mean, it's pretty crazy. You know, they were, you know, they were, of course they were following trends. Uh, because again, they wanted because stockholders don't necessarily care how you grow as long as you're growing and as long as you keep making them money.
Yeah, man.
Um,
I mean, as someone who owns a stock, I mean, I can tell you right now. Listen, multiple stocks. I have a stock portfolio. I would be very angry if I bought if I bought into a company and it wasn't growing. As a business owner, I'd be mad about that. As a stockholder, but as a gamer, I'm like, and as a business owner, I'm like, why are you firing people instead of finding stuff for them to do?
yeah, yeah, and it's like they made money hand over fist, and they raised their prices after the fact too. So it's just like, is it inflation or greed or both?
It's not inflation, it's greed because inflation actually went down. Um, Now what it is that it's greed.
Nah, I think it's hardcore greed.
It's just greed. That's
You know, even you know, I think there would have been a part of me, or you know, maybe a year or so, that would have fought against people that said it was greed. But I just have a strange suspicion that it's more greed than inflation.
I mean it's fairly obvious because if you look at the numbers, because I'm a data scientist. I like to look at data before I make a thing. These companies, like if these companies had been losing money, I would say okay, they have to do what they have to do to save their company. But these companies had made money. Their profits went way up, and the amount of money they were spending to make the money went down. Their operating costs went down. So clearly, this is not an issue of that we're not making enough money. This is an issue of y'all want to make your balance sheets look good to your investors, so they put more money into your company.
Exactly. It's like you guys made a shit ton of money, like Netflix, Spotify, like all you guys made so much money, and then you decide to raise your prices. It's like, what, you're gonna tell me it's operation cost, but you just shat out a whole load of employees. So how much you just cut a big chunk of operation costs. So what's going on here?
Bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, you know, and then you know Netflix wants to get really weird about they handle your how you handle your accounts and whatever, and it's just kind of like you guys, you guys is just
Well, Netflix, I'm not gonna say they're getting weird because I know people who are good. Okay, if you're a student outside of school and you don't have a job and your parents share the Netflix password, okay, sure, whatever. If you're 30 and you still don't have a Netflix account of your own, I'm so. What's going on with your life? Okay, I'm sorry. Like you
yeah.
really,
I will agree with you on that. That is pretty.
okay, I'm just saying, people are like, oh, Netflix kicked me off my parents' account. Motherfucker, you're 35. Okay, you can't, you can't even spend $12 on a basic Netflix account. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
I agree. But you know, in any case, though, I mean,
Now you say that, people get mad. They're like, oh, don't say that.
yeah, it's just you know, the point still stands. It's been getting out of hand with what they've been doing with
I mean, I
prices.
agree, but like people want to make like okay, greed is a thing.
Yeah,
Greed is a thing, but also, I mean, we all know people we went to college with, maybe in our families. They good and grown, have not bought a Netflix, have never paid for a Netflix subscription.
well, I'm not even talking about Netflix. I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah, like I know people who they don't go to the store and buy toilet paper. They just go to their parents' houses and buy toilet and just take toilet paper from their parents. I'm like, you're an adult. You're an adult allegedly.
Okay.
And I'm just saying, like at a certain point, you gotta kind of be an adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Like, but enough about that. Like you said, you know, you know, I would say 75, 85% of these companies are firing people because they just want to make themselves look like they're doing something. Because rather than actually address the real issue, which is there is a finite, like, okay, you said streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Max, Amazon Prime, and all the myriad of others that don't immediately come to my head. There's only 24 hours in the day. If you have a job, you spend between 8 to 10 hours at your job. Let's add another hour on top of that commuting to work if you drive. And you don't live close to where you work. So, that's 11 hours to 9 to 11 hours of your day. You spend not doing things you want to do, doing stuff that you have to do in order to live. Then you factor in, maybe you spend some time with your family eating. That's another 2-3 hours. Then you sleep. You have a finite amount of time for entertainment. Yeah. And not everybody's going to get any. Yeah. That's just, that's, I don't, like, the fact of the matter is that there's only so much time in the day, and people only have so much time to do fun, entertaining, engaging shit. Yeah. It's just the way it is. I mean, no one... I know people get mad when they hear that. They're like, oh, don't say that. But, that's just the way it is, Yeah. And, these companies, I mean, like, when there was only like 2 or 3 streaming services, like paid for streaming services, it was you could afford to do that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. You could afford to pay for Netflix, maybe Amazon Prime. If you had Prime, you already had Amazon Prime, and maybe a third one. Now you've got like 20. Including like radio stations, like internet radio, stuff like that. People don't have time for all that shit. I'm sorry, they don't.
Yeah.
And you have like you have a larger number of people competing to get your money. Yeah. And it's just it's a limited time. Time is more valuable than money. People have a limited amount of it. And they don't want to acknowledge that time is a limited commodity, and people don't have a lot of it. They think that they can say, well, what's really going on is that people are just we hired too many people. It's like, no, you have a product that isn't compelling enough to make people want to sit there and spend a lot of time on your website or buy your subscription. So you made something that's not driving people to spend money at your platform. I mean, a lot of things are like that. Yeah. But why are you getting mad at the people who that's like a grocery store saying, hey, they aren't buying our generic corn. Let's fire our employees because they aren't buying our generic corn. It's like, maybe you need to advertise your generic corn better.
Yeah. Or create a product that's more compelling.
Yeah. Or, advertisement, create a more compelling product, but if you don't have the money to create a compelling product, which is more expensive than just advertise and say, hey, those people across the street are selling generic corn for 69 cents a can. We are selling ours for 39 cents a can. Of course, it only costs us 15 cents to can it. Come buy our generic corn. I mean, do something, shit. But don't say, hey, you guys who stock our shelves, yeah, you're all. I'm firing 20 of you, but there's only 30 of us. Well, 10 of y'all got to do the work of other 20 more people. No,
Yeah.
no, that's what we're dealing with right now. And here's the thing: it's so short-sighted because eventually, the market moves in waves. It ebbs and it flows. Eventually, content creations is going to ramp up, and they're not going to have people there to do the work because those people are going to move on someplace else where they can make more money or do whatever. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do, but
Yeah. And a lot of the reasons they were hiring was to have all the talent. So they were it just seemed like I don't know if it's I don't know if it's just trendy or if they just hit the panic button. Maybe something in between.
probably count both.
Yeah. Um, but yeah.
Also, denying talent to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
because if they're working for you, they can't work for your competitor.
Yeah, so they were trying to monopolize talent.
Yeah, it happens.
But there were two companies that, as far as I think that video I saw was fairly recent, that didn't dump a lot of employees and still made money hand over fist. Two companies that a lot of people like to shit on, but yet they're always buying their products anyway. Apple and Nvidia.
Yeah. Well, that's not really because they're well-run companies. Apple, because Apple has a walled garden where once you're into their ecosystem, you're stuck in their ecosystem. Like I've seen very few people get out of that Apple walled garden. Nvidia actually made money because they pivoted away from the consumer market and they started making shit for
giant servers.
Giant servers, yeah. They start well, not the servers. They started making graphics cards for because Intel still has like the lion's share of that market, but like old school business servers, Nvidia does like graphical media servers for processing media like video and shit. Yeah. So that's more niche, but that's still like those people want quote unquote the best, so they're willing to spend a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
And that's the lion's share of their money has been that in AI shit where you can get the algorithm, the predictive AI to like render shit and make videos and do that type of shit. It's a lot of money in that, but not like literally. That's why do you think Nvidia doesn't give a fuck about their consumer grade graphics cards anymore? They aren't even trying to make shit affordable because that's not where they're making money. They don't care.
Yeah. That's I mean, yeah, exactly. And there have been rumors that they wanted to distance themselves, at least before a lot of the stuff came out from the consumer market, and it seems like they're just doing that very thing.
Yeah, I know. But like I said, not because they're really well-run companies or their business models. Oh my God, they make the best products. Like, it's all right.
But you have any free topics?
I do have a free topic, but I'm saving it for my podcast tomorrow. So I'm going to use my B free topic because you always got to have an A topic and a B topic. I saw Fallout. I've been watching the Fallout TV show. It's amazing. Okay. Oh yeah, it's really good. It really captures the feel. It really captures the feel of Fallout. It's a little too Bethesda Fallout E versus Obsidian slash Interplay Fallout E, but it makes me want to go back and play Fallout New Vegas all over again. And any game, any TV show that makes me say, "Man, I got to go play Fallout New Vegas again," I'm enjoying. Because these days I don't finish games like I used to. I really don't. Like back in the day, I'm like, I'm gonna finish that game. Now I'm like, I get started and something else comes along. I'm like, yeah, I played some of it, and then I went and played something else.
Yeah, for me.
So,
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sir.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, for me, it's not even that the games are bad. It's just there's a lot of other stuff I want to do besides video games, or there's other games I want to play as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I have a finite amount of time. Like I like to read, I like to write, I like to play, socialize with my friends, and play tabletop games. There's a lot of shit. I'm going on vacation next week. Well, yeah, next week. There's a lot of shit I like to do, and I mean, I don't have a myriad of time to always do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. See. So it was good. That's good. I might check it out at some point.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you've ever played Fallout New Vegas and you did Wacky Wasteland and you played as a complete asshole. That's what this TV show. Every character is an asshole. Even the quote unquote main character is an asshole.
Wow.
Yeah. So just like Fallout, it's like, oh, I'm right at home. Everyone's an asshole.
I mean, I guess you kind of have to be to survive in some, a world like Fallout.
Really? I mean, the way I play New Vegas, I tend to play as a lone cowboy good guy. Like the only time I really pull out a gun and shoot somebody is if they break the code. Like in New Vegas, the code is I don't mess around with slavers or rapists. If you're a slave or a rapist, I will kill you. I don't shoot first, but if you shoot at me first, I'm going to kill you. I really don't play as an asshole in Fallout.
Oh.
No, I really don't. Yeah. Now GTA, I'll play as an asshole, but the GTA, you're supposed to play GTA like an asshole. You're punished for trying to follow the law in GTA.
But yeah, I don't have a free topic, so let's give our sign offs and pimp out what you're doing.
All right, this is Mr. Red Fox, Under Pride at BS Busters. Thank you for having me on another cast. I enjoy being on these casts. It's fun to talk about video games and not have to run a cast. Tomorrow, we're going to have a cast. We'll be talking about various topics. I'll give my my overall thoughts about the Fallout TV show. We'll also talk about the return of the PC Gaming Show June 9th, which is going to be amazing because the PC Game Show is... I mean, I've been looking forward to that more than E3 and Jeff Keighley's bullshit, whatever it's called these days. Jeff Keighley, that dickhead. And we'll also talk about what would be our idealized Fallout game, because I've been on a Fallout kick lately. And we'll talk about what Bethesda could do to get players back into Starfield. And we'll close it out with just giving our hot takes on an unfortunate truth that we realized about some of our favorite gaming companies. Spoiler alert, mine is about Nintendo, specifically their Paper Mario team.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing else.
This is Commissioner Bonito. Project Console, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I also have a SoundCloud. see you guys next week. Have a good week, have a good weekend, and have a good life.
All right. Peace.